Hello, welcome to my channel. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about aldehyde. So I've decided to look into the compounds in perfumery. So I'll be talking about aldehyde. This is going to be a series, and this video is going to be a little bit long. So what are aldehydes? Before I go into that, do everybody knows this perfume channel number 5? What gives that world most famous perfume its legendary? The answer is actually aldehyde. Aldehyde was slightly overdosed in that perfume, and it became a success. That is why in perfumery, if you don't experience it, if you don't experiment, you cannot say this will work and this won't work. So aldehydes are one of the most fascinating and versatile compounds in perfumery. They can add spark, lift, and diffusion into a fragrance, making them essential in both classic and modern composition. This video covers everything you need to know about aldehyde, from their different types to the scent profile to the uses and precautions. I'm sharing my knowledge as a chemist and also as a perfumer. People have reached out to me to teach them about perfumery, but I'm currently not trained. That is why I've decided to put out these videos and things I've learned and things that I know. Okay, so because I don't want to deliver under-baked knowledge, because if you pay me, and I'll make sure I give you the best of the best. Okay, so make sure you watch this video to the end if you're interested in perfumery. If you're not interested in perfumery, you can actually skip, because this is the chemistry this is like a class. So I combine both chemistry and perfumery. I combine them together in this video. So make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. So let's get into this. And aldehyde is a type of organic compound that is incredibly significant in the world of fragrance. In perfumery, aldehyde is usually this long-chain aliphatic aldehyde. When I say aldehyde, just the major long-chain aliphatic aldehyde. We have like different types of aldehyde. So what is an aldehyde chemically? So let me just touch a little bit of chemistry here. So at a molecular level, an aldehyde is defined as a special group called the formyl or the aldehyde group. Okay, this group consists of a carbon atom double bonded to a oxygen atom and singly bonded to a hydrogen atom. So I said a carbon atom, carbon is C, double bonded to an oxygen atom and single bonded to a hydrogen atom. So this is the functionality of when you see something like this. Oh, this is an aldehyde. Normally O and H is alcohol. So C double bond, O single bond, H is a formyl or aldehyde group. So this is how you understand aldehyde, and the rest of this this structure is bonded to a R group. The R group is the long chain. So this is the functionality of an aldehyde. So when you see something like this, oh, this is an aldehyde, and this is very important in perfumery, because when you can identify the molecules of what you are working with, it's going to help you have knowledge in the binding factor. Because sometimes when you mix there's something that's called shift base. Okay, don't let me go into that. Just let's talk about aldehyde, because that one is more complex, and as a beginner you will not understand that. So what is the importance and what is the impact of aldehyde in perfumery? Aldehyde basically gives perfumery shine, this glow. There's this shine, this glow. They are famous because they add a brilliant, shimmery, and diffusive quality to a fragrance composition. Okay, so let me say, without aldehyde, something is beautiful, but there's no spark in it. But with aldehyde, the fragrance is going to have lift, diffusion, spark. Yes, ADN gives spark like diffusion to a fragrance, but the effect of aldehyde is actually very different. For example, in my perfume Aswad that I created, when I was creating the rose accord, I actually had an aldehyde to that rose accord. There's this particular aldehyde that the aldehyde itself is not really rosy, it's kind of raspberry, but I just added it in a trace form, just to add spark, and it really worked. It made the rose, it gave the rose had a different dimension compared to like normal rose, and it was very beautiful. The spark and everything, the energy was there, and it came out very beautiful. So that's why sometimes it is very important for you to know your raw material and know when to add them and what exactly how they are useful. So in perfumery, aldehyde adds brilliance, it enhances diffusion, it creates unique effects. So you can actually, maybe you want let me say, like a metallic scent. There are different aldehydes whereby you can add to your perfume, and it's going to give you that metallic element, maybe like a juicy, maybe like a fizzy effect. There are some kind of aldehyde that gives that fizzy effect, maybe a soapy effect like this. Aldehyde C11 on the second is very soapy. It's a citrusy, it's like citrusy, it's nice, like a bit rosy, but it's very, very soapy. And when you want to use this, you use this in neat. You use this in trace amounts, because this thing is very powerful, very, very powerful. And also this one, oh my goodness, this, if you add too much, your perfume is going to smell so synthetic. So I have a couple of aldehyde here. This one is a peachy raw material and things like that, and we'll be looking into them in details as we move on. So how can you add aldehyde to your fragrance formulation when you're adding aldehyde? Number one, you can add aldehyde to your top notes. They provide this burst of freshness. Aldehyde C10 works very well in this. I don't have that in my collection, but you can actually add aldehyde to your top note. For example, if I want to create a top note, I can actually add, maybe if I'm looking at a fruity kind of perfume, I can add aldehyde C16 to my top note, depending on what I'm working on. And I can actually add this guy also here, but this raw material, it takes professionalism to work with this, because this smells very soapy and you have to use this in trace amounts, and it is very good. It has a very crazy longevity at it, as you're looking at it here. So you can actually add aldehyde as a modifier. Okay, modifier is for it to, like, when I say modifier in perfumery is to, for example, when I said I added Aldehyde C20 to my rose accord, I actually added it as a modifier to give a kind of fruitiness to my rose accord. So modifier is like when I say, in English you have, when you modify a word to give it a meaning, to make it specific. For example, you can have a wetry rose, so you can add cologne to your rose accord for it to give it that freshy dew ahead. So the cologne in that place is acting as a modifier. So how do I too can act as a modifier to define the kind of scent or accord that you are building? They can also add as amplifier to give strength. In my rose accord that I built for Aswad, how the IC20 also add as a modifier and acted as an amplifier, because that raw material, the longevity is very crazy. Seriously, the longevity is crazy. So it's anchored that rose accord that it actually stayed so long from the earth note towards the depth of the base note. So it was still there. So, and they can act as a fixative, and they can also act as a blender. So benzaldehyde is very, very common. It's a common aldehyde that is used as a blender. I do not have that here in my collection. I don't have benzaldehyde. So there are different types of, there are three basic different types of aldehyde. We have the aliphatic aldehyde, which are the long chain fatty aldehyde. We have the functional aldehyde, and we have the sparkling aldehyde. So aldehyde C20 is actually sparkling aldehyde. Aldehyde C11 is actually a fatty aldehyde, and the functional aldehyde, cinnamic aldehyde, is a functional aldehyde. So there are different types. So when you know all these things, you know how to work with them. Mostly the fatty aldehyde, they're always very soapy. They are soapy. They're kind of citrusy. They have different like scent profile, but that soapiness is very it's very common to them. That kind of soapiness with this is very soapy as well. So but the functional aldehyde, those ones, they are more divine. Like for example, I have cinnamic aldehyde. This one really smells so, like, it's more functional. It smells so well like a cinnamon. Like when you perceive it, oh yes, this is cinnamon. You're not going to think twice. You're not going to think twice. It has that cinnamon effect in it. And this is anistic aldehyde. It's also a functional aldehyde. So this one smells a bit floral, kind of vanillic, and it has different facets, and this raw material is very, very beautiful. So, and the functional, okay, that's the functional, and the sparkling aldehyde, then we have the aldehyde C20, because they are not really aldehyde like that. This, which I added, oh my goodness, this smells kind of soapy, strong, potent. This is very, very strong. So you have to use this in trace amounts, and you have to know how to use this. If not, your blend is going to smell very synthetic. So I have aldehyde C19. This one is pineapple. This is a pineapple scent. Smell like a fresh, juicy, jammy pineapple. So, there are different raw materials. So, and also do not overdose these raw materials, because if you overdose them, your perfume is going to most especially the functional aldehyde and the sparkling aldehyde. You don't overdose them, because those ones, they are very, very potent. They are very potent, and you have to make sure you're checking the IFRA guideline on the raw material you're working on, so that you can know if you are on the right path or you're just doing a village thing. So aldehydes are powerful tools in perfumery. They are capable of transforming a fragrance from flat to radiant, and they are used as top note boosters. You can use to enhance florals. You can add it to gourmand. Like for example, when I was building the vanilla accord for Raha perfume that I built for my brand, I actually add anistic aldehyde to the vanilla accord to add a kind of bit of spiciness, a kind of twig, to divine the kind of vanilla I am building, because that perfume, I didn't build it to be a kind of gourmandy sweetness like that. Yes, I want it to be sweet, but not with some kind of character in it, and this actually helped me in achieving that. So you have to know your raw materials so that you can know how to use them, and if you don't sample them, there is no way you know how to work with it. Okay, so in this series that I'll be dropping, we are going to be looking at different raw materials, and then we are going to be looking at the molecular structures of these raw materials. You're going to look at the scent profile, you're going to look at the strength, and we're going to look at the flash point. It is very important. Flash point is very important, and one of the ways you can get the flash point of your raw material is to ask from the manufacturer. So when I bought my raw materials, I got a COA, certificate of analysis, for all my raw materials, and from that certificate of analysis I can get information about the flash point and some other information about the raw material. So why am I talking about the flash point? Is because of fire, ignition, spark. Because in Nigeria, we have a lot of people that they create perfume for burning, like all these incense, all these diffuser burner and things like that. So this flash point is going to help you to know the ignition point, the flash point of the raw material, and it is very, very important for you to know about it. This that I'm sharing with you is a master knowledge. I paid a whole lot of money to get this knowledge, so don't think, oh, this guy should just come into. I'm not teaching you rubbish. And I know that all those your 5k 10k perfume classes, none of them can give you what I'm going to be giving you on this page. So make sure whenever you're on my page, get your book and your pen and make sure you're jotting something, because I might decide tomorrow, because once I have my paid classes, I might want to remove these videos, because of people that are paying me. They have to make sure they get full knowledge, and I don't want them to feel like they are being cheated. So make sure once you see my video, watch them and jot down whatever it is you think will be useful for you. So I'll see you in my next videos, where we are going to dive into each of these raw materials deeply. Bye.